1 Chronicles Chapter 28. And David assembled at Jerusalem all the leaders of Israel, the leaders of the tribes, and the leaders of the divisions who served the king, and the captains of thousands, and the captains of hundreds, and the overseers of all the property and cattle of the king and of his sons, with the eunuchs and the mighty men, indeed all the mighty men of valor. And David the king rose to his feet and said, Hear me, my brothers and my people. I had it in my heart to build a house of rest for the ark of the covenant of Jehovah and for the footstool of our God, and I prepared materials for building it. But God said to me, You shall not build a house for my name, for you are a man of war and have shed blood. But Jehovah the God of Israel chose me out of all my father's house to be king over Israel forever, for he chose Judah as leader, and in the house of Judah the house of my father, and among the sons of my father he took pleasure in me, making me king over all Israel. And out of all my sons for Jehovah has given me many sons he has chosen Solomon my son to sit on the throne of the kingdom of Jehovah over Israel. And he said to me, Solomon your son, he shall build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. And I will establish his kingdom forever, if he is resolute in doing my commandments and my ordinances, as on this day. And now in the sight of all Israel, the assembly of Jehovah, and in the hearing of our God, observe and seek after all the commandments of Jehovah your God in order that you may possess the good land and leave it as an inheritance forever to your children after you. And you, Solomon my son, know the God of your father, and serve him with your whole heart and with a willing soul, for Jehovah searches all the hearts and understands every imagination of the thoughts. If you seek him, he will be found by you, but if you forsake him, he will cast you away forever. See now that Jehovah has chosen you to build a house for the sanctuary, be strong and do it. Then David gave Solomon his son the pattern of the portico of the temple and its buildings and its storehouses and its upper rooms and its inner rooms and the building for the propitiation cover. And the pattern of all that he had by the Spirit, for the courts of the house of Jehovah, and for all the chambers around, and for the treasuries of the house of God, and for the treasuries of the dedicated gifts. And for the divisions of the priests and the Levites, and for all the work of the service of the house of Jehovah, and for all the vessels of the service of the house of Jehovah. And for the gold, by weight of the gold for all the vessels of each kind of service, for all the vessels of silver, by weight for all the vessels for each kind of service. And for the weight of the lampstands of gold and their lamps of gold, by weight for each lampstand and its lamps, and for the weight of the lampstands of silver, by weight for the lampstand and its lamps, according to the service of each kind of lampstand. And for the gold, by weight for the tables of the rows of bread for each table, and for the silver for the tables of silver. And for the flesh hooks and the basins and the cups, of pure gold, and for the bowls of gold, by weight for each bowl, and for the bowls of silver, by weight for each bowl. And for the incense altar of refined gold, by weight, and gold for the figure of the chariot, that is, the cherubim, spreading out their wings and covering the ark of the covenant of Jehovah. All this, said David, has he made clear by a writing from the hand of Jehovah upon me, all the details of the pattern. And David said to Solomon his son, Be strong and be bold and do it, do not be afraid or dismayed, for Jehovah God, my God, is with you. He will not fail you nor forsake you until the completion of all the work for the service of the house of Jehovah. And here are the divisions of priests and Levites for all the service of the house of God, and with you in all the work will be every willing man with wisdom for any service, also the leaders and all the people will be holy at your command. 1 Chronicles Chapter 29. And David the king said to all the assembly, Solomon my son, he alone whom God has chosen, is young and tender, and the work is great because the palace is not for man but for Jehovah God. And as much as was in my power I have prepared for the house of my God the gold for the things of gold and the silver for the things of silver and the bronze for the things of bronze and the iron for the things of iron and the wood for the things of wood, onyx stones and inlaid stones, stones of antimony and variegated stones, and every kind of precious stone and marble stones in abundance. Furthermore, because I set my affection on the house of my God, and since I have a private treasure of gold and silver, I give it for the house of my God over and above all that I have prepared for this holy house. 3,000 talents of gold, from the gold of Ophir, and 7,000 talents of refined silver for overlaying the walls of the houses. Gold for the things of gold and the silver for the things of silver and for all the work by the hands of the craftsmen. And who will offer willingly, consecrating himself today to Jehovah? And the leaders of the fathers' houses and the leaders of the tribes of Israel and the captains of thousands and of hundreds with the overseers of the king's work offered willingly. And they gave for the service of the house of God 5,000 talents and 10,000 darics of gold, and 10,000 talents of silver, and 18,000 talents of bronze, and 100,000 talents of iron. And those with whom gems were found gave them to the treasure of the house of Jehovah through Jehiel the Gershonite. Then the people rejoiced because they offered willingly, for with their whole heart they offered willingly to Jehovah. And David the king also rejoiced with great joy. And David blessed Jehovah in the sight of all the assembly. And David said, You are blessed, O Jehovah, God of Israel our Father, from eternity to eternity. Yours is the greatness and the power and the splendor and the victory and the majesty, indeed all that is in heaven and on earth, yours, O Jehovah, is the kingdom, and you are exalted as head over all. Both riches and glory proceed from you, and you rule over all. In your hand are power and might, and it is in your hand to make great and to give strength to all. Now therefore, our God, we thank you and praise your glorious name. But who am I, and who are my people, that we should have strength to offer so willingly in this way? For all things are from you, and from your hand we have given to you. For we are strangers before you and sojourners, as were all our fathers, our days upon earth are like a shadow, and there is no hope. O Jehovah our God, as for all this abundance that we have prepared for building you a house for your holy name, it is from your hand, and all is yours. I know also, O my God, that you try the heart and take pleasure in uprightness. I, in the uprightness of my heart, have offered willingly all these things, and now I have seen with joy your people, who are present here, offering willingly to you. O Jehovah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our fathers, keep this forever in the imagination of the thoughts of your people's heart and establish their heart toward you. And to Solomon my son give a wholeness of heart to keep your commandments, your testimonies, and your statutes, and to do all and build the palace for which I have prepared these things. Then David said to all the assembly, Bless Jehovah your God. And all the assembly blessed Jehovah, the God of their fathers, and they bowed down and paid homage to Jehovah and the king. And they offered sacrifices to Jehovah and offered up burnt offerings to Jehovah on the morning after that day 1,000 bulls, 1,000 rams, 1,000 lambs, with their drink offerings and sacrifices in abundance for all Israel. And they ate and drank before Jehovah on that day with great joy. And they made Solomon the son of David king a second time and anointed him as ruler for Jehovah and Zadok as priest. And Solomon sat upon the throne of Jehovah as king in place of David his father and prospered, and all Israel obeyed him. And all the leaders and mighty men and also all the sons of King David submitted themselves to Solomon the king. And Jehovah magnified Solomon exceedingly in the sight of all Israel and bestowed upon him a royal majesty that had never been on any king before him over Israel. Thus David the son of Jesse reigned over all Israel. And the time which he reigned over Israel was 40 years, in Hebron he reigned 7 years, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33. And David died at a good old age, full of days, riches, and honor, and Solomon his son reigned in his place. And the acts of David the king, the first and the last, are there written in the Chronicles of Samuel the seer and in the Chronicles of Nathan the prophet and in the Chronicles of Gad the seer. With all his reign and his might and the times that befell him and Israel and all the kingdoms of the lands.